algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here with your next flipped lesson. And we're doing lots and lots of story problems. And these are actually very, very easy if you look for, pardon me, the things that you already know how to do. So let's get on with it. The first one is, oh, that's supposed to say the law, excuse me. Okay, the law states that when building a wheelchair ramp, for every 1 unit the ramp goes up, it must be at least 12 units long. Okay, how long must a ramp be if it is to be 4.5 feet tall? Well, I know some of you are going to run right to a proportion, and that's fine. A proportion is a good way to solve this. But I was wondering if you recognized what this is. 1 unit, the ramp goes up, it must be 12 units long. Hopefully you're realizing that the 1 unit up is the rise and the 12 units long is the run. So this is a slope problem. So if you have 1 foot up, it has to be 12 feet long. Okay? That little mark there is not an exponent, it's a foot indicator, right? Okay? And you can set it up like a proportion. You need to know how long it's going to be if it's got to be 4.5 feet tall. Now, I know a lot of different, oops, I just made the mark for inches, excuse me. I know a lot of different ways you can do this. You can cross multiply, okay, which is a good way, and you'll get x equals 4.5 times 12. Well, 4 times 12 is 48, and a half times 12 is 6, so that must equal 54. So the answer is 54 feet long. Okay, that's one really good way to do it. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second. Similar type question in part B. What is the maximum height a ramp could be if it's going to be 30 feet long? Well, it's going to be 30 feet long, but I have the same ratio of 1 to 12. All right, so I can cross multiply and get 12x equals 30. I'll divide by 12, divide by 12. Before I actually divide, I like to simplify, so I'm going to divide by 3. Get 10/4. Should have divided by 6. Get me down to 5.5. I can see that's it can be 2.5 feet tall. I know it's a super easy problem, but I want you to recognize that this is a slope problem in disguise. All right. Now, question for you. Have you ever seen a wheelchair ramp in a front yard? Like, maybe you have a house. Okay. And in the front yard, there'll be this wheelchair ramp that kind of goes like this. All right. It appears to wind back and forth. Why do you suppose this is? I'm not going to answer it, but I'd like you to tell me in class on the next day. All right, let's look at this one. Vinny's going to open up a lemonade stand. He needs to make some cash. He spends $10 on supplies. Vinny plans to charge 75 cents per cup. How many cups does he need to sell so that he can make a profit? Well, believe it or not, you know how to do this problem. Yeah, you even know how to write an equation. A linear equation, remember, we like to write y equals mx plus b, right? And m is the slope or the movement, and b is the y-intercept or the beginning. How much money does Vinny start with? Now, some of you are going to say $10. Actually, it's not. He starts with minus $10. This is the y-intercept, but it's negative. Why is it negative? Because he has to spend his own money to get the business started. So B is going to equal negative 10. Now, 75 cents per cup. What's that? Well, that's your slope. So M is going to equal 0.75. So the equation y equals 0.75 x minus 10. Or if you wanted to go a fraction, because in fractions or with slope we always like to do fractions, we could have done this. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways to think about it. What is x? X is going to be the number of cups that he sells, right? Y is going to be the money that he makes. So if you think about this, if he doesn't sell any cups, he can he would made negative $10, right? Let's say he sets up his lemonade stand and he goes out and it's raining, and it's like 40 degrees. Nobody's going to stop and buy lemonade. And he's sitting out there with an umbrella and he's getting all wet. He's not making any money. At the end of the day, he's made negative $10. He's lost money, right? Okay. If he sells 4 cups, well, you do 3/4 times 4 minus 10, right? And that's going to tell you that he's lost $7. Okay. So why is the money that he makes? We want him to be able to make a profit. What we might do a couple different things. One, we could set up a t-table and try to figure out when he breaks even, when he has $0. In other words, plug 0 in for X. Okay, so let's do it that way, and then I'll do it another way. So when you have 0 is going to equal 3/4 X minus 10. So then 10 will equal 3/4 X. I'll divide by 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to get X is going to equal 10 times 4/3. And that's not going to simplify nicely. I'm going to get 40 over 3, which, let's see here, I think 12, 13, and 1/3. So I know it's not possible to sell 13 and 1/3 cups. But if you think about this, here, let me rewrite this t-table. Give me 1 second here. Oops. If you think about it, to make $0, he needs to sell 13 and 1/3 cups. What happens if he only sells 13? He gets a negative value, right? Okay. What happens as soon as he sells the 14 cup? He gets a positive value, and therefore he needs to sell 14 cups to make a profit. Now, that is one really good way to do it. I'm going to demonstrate another way to do it, and I'm going to need just a minute to set up, so hold on. Okay, so I have some graph paper here, and I want to point out to you, I'm not looking at a perfect 10 by 10 grid. I've got just the part of the grid that I really care about. There's my x-axis, my y-axis, and of course my origin, right? And remember that my slope was going to be 3/4, right? So m is going to be 3/4, and the y-intercept was -10 because he starts with -10. He spends $10 of his own money. So let me plot the y-intercept. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right down there. And so every 1 cup he sells, he makes 75 cents. Well, that's the same, 0.75 over 1, but that's the same as 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and run 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, by the way, X is the number of cups he sells, and Y is the money he makes. So rise 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He sold 8 cups, and he's still down 1, 2, 3, $4. He's still $4 in the hole, even after selling 8 cups. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's at 12 cups, and he still hasn't made a profit. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to be something like that. And let me make him a little bit thinner. And I'll change the color so it stands out a little bit. Okay, now if you look, it looks like we're crossing the x-axis, okay, uh, between 13 and 14. So he'll break even at 13 and a half cups, but he doesn't make a profit until he sells his 14th cup, because if you look, the 14th cup puts him here. It doesn't tell us how much he makes of a profit. It just says he has to sell 14 before he can consider having made a profit. It's pretty easy stuff if you think about what you already know and then just apply that to the story problem. Okay, let's see here. I think I have one more problem for you. Hold on, I can't find it. There we go. We have Nick wants to buy an iPad for $450. He currently has $200 in his bank account. What do you suppose that is? That's his B, right? B is going to be positive 200 because it's money that Nick has. He also has a job cutting grass that earns him $20 per lawn. What do you suppose that is? Well, it's a slope, $20 per lawn, so 20 over 1. How many lawns does he need to cut? Well, if we write an equation, y equals 20x plus 200, using y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, x is going to be the number of lawns that he cuts, and y will be the money that he has, right? Now, we need him to have $450. So I'm going to plug 450 in for y, and I'm going to solve for x. All right, so I'm going to get 250 equals 20x, divide by 20, right? And of course, those will cancel, leaving just an x. Here I can simplify that, and half of 25 is 12 and a half. Okay, so when he cuts 10 lawns, he doesn't have quite enough money. I can prove that to you. I can do 20 times 12 plus the 200 he has. Well, that would be 240 plus 20. Y equals $440. He needs $450 to buy the iPad, so 12 lawns doesn't cut it. He'll need a 13th lawn, and let's see how much money he'll have with the 13th lawn. Looks like Y is going to be 260 plus 200 will be $460. He'll have just enough money to buy it. We're not counting for tax. So the correct answer would be he has to cut 13 lawns. But notice it's all just linear equation, slope and y equals mx plus b. All right, there will be some examples where I actually use standard form and things like that. But anyway, okay, Mr. Lawrence signing off. Good night, everybody.